They were involved in a horrific car accident. The two of them turned and came over to me, embraced me, and the three of us went to the lake where we had a time to affirm our love and affection for each other, a chance to say a proper goodbye. I didn't tell anybody for like 15 years. I knew that if it had happened to me once, that it could happen to me again. I just had to figure out how to make it work. And so...
The A.J. Parr Spiritual Journalist Podcast.
I'm here with Scott Taylor. He had one of the most beautiful experiences I've ever heard. It's a shared death experience. Shared death experiences are actually near-death experiences that occur to a bystander when someone else is dying. Scott had what I call the most beautiful shared death experience I've ever heard. Hello, Scott. How are you?
AJ, I am awesome. Thank you for inviting me.
This happened many years ago. Your girlfriend died, and that's how it all started. Can you take us back to that moment?
Sure, be glad to. Yeah, it happened in 1981. I was in love with a woman. Her name was Mary Frances, and she and her son Nolan had been out sailing on beautiful Lake Washington in southern Minnesota. And on their way home, they were involved in a horrific car accident, and Mary Fran was killed outright, and Nolan had a really severe head injury, and it took him 6 days to make his transition. Luckily, we were in southern Minnesota, and both Mary Fran and Nolan were taken directly to Rochester, Minnesota, which is the home of the Mayo Health System, and they received terrific care, but it just wasn't enough. Mary Fran was one of 9, and because there were 6 days between the accident and Nolan making his transition, there was time for all of the relatives to come and hold vigil for Nolan. So it's, brothers and sisters and spouses and girlfriends and boyfriends and aunts and uncles, and that's just her family. And then there's my family. There was a lot of us, like 50 of us that were there being with Nolan. In fact, there were so many of us that we divvied up our time because he was in a small hospital room, and there was a bunch of equipment, to monitor him, so there was even less room. And so we divvied it up so that we could be there. 2 of us went in every 2 hours, and my shift was on the morning of the 6th day, from 3 a.m. in the morning till 5 a.m. With Mary Fran's oldest sister, Janie. And we brought his favorite storybook. We talked about how, AJ, because there were so many of us and the waiting room was small, her brothers went throughout the hospital system and stole all the cushions off of the couches and brought them back to the waiting room and plunked them on the floor so we'd have a comfortable place to rest. Anyway, it got to be about 4:45 in the morning, and Janie, who was a trained emergency room nurse, looks at his chart and then looks at the myriad of monitors and says, "Scott, it's time for us to say goodbye." So we pulled up a couple of chairs next to his head, to Nolan's head, and we told him that he had been such a brave boy, that he had been fighting so hard to stay with us here in the physical world, but if his mother should come, remember she died 6 days before, that if Mary Frances should come and ask him to go with her, that would be the right thing to do. And we told him that we loved him and he would always be in our heart. And it's now 5 o'clock and we leave and the next group comes in. Well, it's not 45 minutes later when the nurse on the floor comes in and tells all of us who are sleeping on the floor and in chairs, and she says it's time. His vital signs are decreasing, and that we should, if we wanted to be with him, we should go into the hospital room. So we all filed in, and as it turned out, I was one of the last people in the room, and it's already about 4 deep around the bed. So I said, well, that's silly. I'm just going to sit on the windowsill next to Mary Frances' youngest brother, Willie, and just wait. And we did. I don't know how long it took, but so maybe 20 minutes as his heart rate decreased and finally slowed, and then it quit. And there's that ominous tone when the machine says there's no heart rate anymore. And when he flatlined, what I experienced was Mary Fran coming across the veil and scooping Nolan up out of his physical body. And the two of them had this exquisite reunion, as you could only imagine, between a mother and child. Well, that surprised me. Surprised in the sense that I was able to feel everything that they felt. And it was like I was involved in that exchange, but not really. But then what surprised me even more is that the two of them turned and came over to me, embraced me, and then the three of us left and went into the light. And AJ, everything you've heard about near-death experiences and about being in the light, words just can't do it. It's compassion, it's love, it's ecstasy, it's reunion, it's like you are one with the loving consciousness that is the universe. But honestly, none of that made any difference at all, because what was important to me was that I was there in the light with Mary Fran and Nolan. And we had a chance to affirm our love and affection for each other. We had a chance to say a proper goodbye, because I was at work when the accident happened. And then we had a chance just to be together for a while. And then when that felt complete, Mary Fran and Nolan turned and went further into the light, and I came back to my physical body that was sitting there on the windowsill next to Willie. So that's like part A of the story.
Can you describe that moment when you left with them into the light? Did you perceive that you were leaving your body? Did you fly? Can you describe it a little bit more detail, please?
When I went into the light, it was like I changed into my energetic being, and I was both merged with everything in the universe, and I was me. So it was a both and kind of thing, because I clearly had this sense that I was with Mary Fran and Nolan, and at the end of, remember that, where we had a chance to be together, that was more like a merging, like we merged together and we were, just one in the unit with the universe. So that's a really different kind of experience than if you, say, had the typical tunnel experience to the white light. Each one of these is unique, in terms of how people experience them, but they all wind up being part of the loving light that is the source of everything.
Okay, so you mentioned there's a part 2. Go ahead.
Part 2 is I was in the light with Mary, Fran, and Nolan, and I was 100% there with them, and I was also in the hospital room sitting next to Willie. And I describe it like 100% of me was with Mary, Fran, and Nolan, and 100% of me was in the room with all of the friends and relatives. And I describe it like that because it wasn't like I was 50-50 and I split. No, it was like I was entirely there, and I was entirely in the room with all the grieving relatives. And that's important because I had such presence of mind that I recognized that when sitting there on the windowsill, it was like the light of the universe was inside my body, and it was bursting out. It was trying to get out. And that loving consciousness, is just, it showed up on my face. So, I have this big grin on my face. I am so happy. I get to see Mary, Fran, and Nolan again, and I get to be one with the loving universe. I'm just in this ecstatic state. And if anybody in that room had looked in my direction, they would have misunderstood completely, because, just moments before, Nolan had died. And of course, 6 days before, Mary Fran had died. And so it was so inappropriate that what I thought I should do was to cover my face with my hands. And I stayed like that until I was able to come back into my physical body and, become one again. And then I could take my hands down and do what grieving people do, lots of hugs and crying on each other's shoulders. And it was incredibly sad. I was raised in the mainline Presbyterian tradition in southern Minnesota. And in that tradition, they don't talk about the ability for people to cross the veil, and that you could communicate with them and be one with the universe and travel with them. It's just not part of the lexicon of the Presbyterian Church. So it was completely out of context for me. I didn't have any words for what happened to it, and I didn't have a context for how to place it into my life. And I certainly didn't have a word for, being in the light plus being in my body. I do now. I call it bilocation. I'm in two spots at the same time. So it was so outside of my experience. I didn't tell anybody for like 15 years. It was a long time. So that's part 2. There's a part 3 when you're ready.
What happened when you shared this for the first time 15 years later, before we go into part 3?
So I shared it with my father. I did it because I was doing my doctoral work at the University of St. Thomas, and at the beginning of my dissertation, in order to set the stage for my academic paper, I wrote my story out so that people would know, who's writing this, because it's, when you write something, you write it from the perspective of, your worldview, the lenses that you have. And so I showed that to my dad, and he read it, and he just looked at me and he goes, "Yeah, that's what I believe. Yeah, this is this is pretty close to what I think how the world is. I was like, I was shocked because I thought I was, so outside of what is acceptable in, Western culture and certainly the culture I grew up in. And here my dad is like, oh yeah, I get that. That makes sense to me. It's like, why did I worry for all those years? I needn't have done that. So it was, I was accepted right away. And in my academic community, I was also accepted right away. I took my findings out and did kind of some preliminary talks about what I had discovered, mostly to churches, Presbyterian and Methodist, a whole bunch of Catholic churches. I was affirmed from word go. And I've had very, in my, since I finished that paper in 2001, and that paper has been accepted quite universally. So that's good.
Let's hear part 3.
Part 3 is this. I told you I was doing my academic work so I could, get my doctorate in, and my dissertation was about near-death experiences. And near-death experiences, they're just so frequent. In 1981, something like 5% of the population had one. And since that time, I don't know, it has to be a whole lot more because our emergency room medicine is way better than it was back then. And who's leading the way on this is the military. They are amazing at their ability to keep people alive on the battlefield and bring them back from the verge of death. So there's a lot of near-death experiencers out there, and I thought, well, shoot, this will be a piece of cake. So I went to hospices and hospitals and critical care facilities and, told them what I was doing and could I talk to their patients they think might have had this experience. And they were very nice, and they said, absolutely not. In the U.S., there's a law called HIPAA, H-I-P-A, that essentially says you may not share people's medical information without cause. And I couldn't get in there, which I completely understood once I put 2 and 2 together. So what I wound up doing, AJ, is writing to Mary Fran's family. Her sisters had all gone into the healthcare profession, and I just wrote and said, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm looking for. Can you help me find people who've had a near-death experience so I can interview them? And I got a letter back from one of the sisters, who, by the way, wishes to remain anonymous, so I'm just going to call her the sister. And this sister says, well, Scott, 10 years ago, I had a near-death experience. Do you want to interview me? And I went, absolutely. So we get together, and she tells me about her near-death experience. I'm recording it and taking notes like a good academic person. And at the end of the interview, I'm packing up my stuff, and this thought comes into my head that says, hey, when Nolan made his transition, we were all there in the hospital room, and something really unusual happened to me. I wonder if anything really unusual happened to you. And her eyes just got like this big. They were huge, just like saucers. And taking that as a yes, I unpacked my tape recorder, started it, and told her, all right, you tell me your story first, then I'll tell you mine, and we'll compare notes. AJ, this is what she told me. She said, Scott, I remember the moment like it was yesterday. I was standing bedside. You were across the room sitting on the windowsill next to Willie. When Nolan flatlined, what I, meaning the sister, I'm speaking as her now, what I experienced was Mary Fran coming across the veil and scooping Nolan up out of his physical body. The two of them had this exquisite reunion. I was surprised by that, but then the two of them turned to me, embraced me, and the three of us went to the light where we had a time to affirm our love and affection for each other. We had a chance to say our goodbyes. We had a chance to be together. And then when it felt complete, they moved further into the light, and I came back to my physical body standing next to the bed. AJ, she used virtually identical language to mine in describing her experience. It was exactly the same. And in that instant, any doubts that I might have had about my experience just evaporated. And that meant that I could wholeheartedly embrace what happened to me, and it allowed me to be even more curious about what had happened and dig further into this phenomenon. The same thing happened to the sister. She hadn't told anybody for years. In fact, I was the first person she told. And for her, it was the same thing. Any doubts that she had just evaporated. They were gone. And she could embrace what had happened between the sister and Mary Fran and Nolan. So not only was it, back then anyway, a rare shared near-death experience, but it was a shared death experience. So they're much more common today because we know a lot about them and we know how to organize them so that you could have one if you want. Anyway, so that's part 3, the fact that that the two of us had identical experiences with Mary Fran and Nolan.
Okay, so now we're gonna add a part 4.
Are we? Oh,
yes, because I imagine that your worldview was completely shattered, and that eventually led you to start researching and working with the Monroe Institute, which specializes in out-of-body experiences.
Yep,
so
that's right.
Tell us more or less how you got into that and what you experienced when you were at the Monroe Institute.
Sure. So one of the after effects of a near-death experience is, at least that happened for me, was intense curiosity, because I knew that if it had happened to me once, that it could happen to me again. I just had to figure out how to make it work. And so I started, this is 1981. I had no idea what to do. So I figured, well, there's these ancient sacred sites all over the world. Maybe there's a little bit of juju there still stored in those ancient sites. And if I go there, they'll help propel me into that space again. So I went to Stonehenge, into the cathedrals, more cathedrals than you could shake a stick at, and the pyramids and the Sphinx and the Oracle of Delphi and Machu Picchu and sites in Japan. It didn't work. I mean, I got some fun experience, but mostly what I got was a great vacation. And I was able to go and, be kind of a spiritual tourist. They were beautiful sights, and that was great. So then I said, all right, this isn't working. I entered seminary and I went through that, and I got a better academic understanding, but that didn't help my experiential. I wanted to go there again. And so I studied with shamans, and I started meditative practices. And then a friend of mine told me about the Monroe Institute and handed me a book. And I read the book in one night. I started like at 10 o'clock at night, and I read all the way through till 6 in the morning. And it just stunned me that here was somebody who had this is an out-of-body experience. It was sort of close to what had happened to me, but it used language that helped me understand that there is a different way of being, and he helped explain from his perspective what the cosmology of the universe is that would allow for these kinds of experiences. So I went there. I signed up. The first course you take there is Gateway, and in the process of doing their meditations, I got to see Mary Fran again, and it was a wonderful reunion. And then that inspired me to come back again and to their second class, which is called Guidelines. And there I was able to learn the tools to be able to establish a relationship with Mary Fran and Nolan, and frankly some other people, my grandfather who is deceased. And so I was able to have a relationship with people on the other side. And and then the next year I came back and said, I would like to be a facilitator for you. And I did that for 35 years. I worked as a trainer for the Monroe Institute, and then they hired me to be their executive director for 2 years. And during the pandemic, which it wasn't really 2 years. I measure it in dog years. It was like 14 years of work experience trying to save an organization that didn't have any cash flow. So the Monroe Institute was critical in helping me to understand that we have a physical body, but this isn't me. What is me is that non-physical, energetic body that my consciousness resides in. And we can take that consciousness and move it out of our physical body in an out-of-body experience, or we can do bilocation, like I talked about, where you're in your physical body and you recognize it, and you're also in the light. So there's lots of different ways to explore the non-physical universe. I think bilocation is way easier to learn than out-of-body experiences. That takes some true dedication. And it allowed me to really understand how much help there is on the other side. I mean, we have our guides, we have our councils, we have that group that helped us design our life experience. There's angels, there's, all kinds of energetic and divine beings that have my best interest at heart and just love me unconditionally. Each one of us has that, where we are a part of this incredible human community, and we are a part of all that is. And so we are, as an energetic being, able to merge with the consciousness that is that foundation of our universe.
So for people who are not familiarized with Robert Monroe's techniques,
Yep.
Can you describe your second meeting with your girlfriend, I understand that you work with a binaural beats. You lie down in a special room with headphones. Can you describe that? Give us some
Sure.
details about that new encounter.
The first meeting, my first reunion with Mary Fran was short, and it was profound because what happened was that, not unlike our shared death experience, we were able to come together, and it was like we were both energetic beings, and we got to merge and be one for a while. And then we became two and back to our physical bodies. It's an experience that is intimate and profound, that you can share that with another being. How Monroe works. So Bob Monroe started having out-of-body experiences, and he really wanted to know about what they could do. And so for a decade, he wrote down all these notes, and he published that first book, Journeys Out of the Body. That was the one I read that got me interested in the Monroe Institute. And the result of that was that he was absolutely bombarded with people who wanted to have the same kind of experience he did and wanted to understand from an experiential sense how this universe is organized and created. So he found this old technology called binaural beats, and was discovered back in the 1880s. And essentially what that was if you put a tone in one ear, say 100 hertz, and you put a slightly different tone in the other ear, say 104 hertz, and you're using headphones, the brain tries to equalize those two tones, because that's how you discover where you are in space. It's like, oh, there's a sound coming from over here. It's one frequency here. It's one frequency on the other side of your head. You turn it, boom. Okay, when they're equalized, you know that the sound is coming from over here. That same system is what the brain uses when you put in those 100 and 104 hertzes, and because it can't equalize those two, it sets up a third tone within the brain itself, which is the difference between the two, which in this case would be 4. Now, AJ, if you were wearing headphones and I did that to you, did the 100 and the 104, your brain would start to produce a frequency of 4, and you would drift off to sleep because 4 is the frequency of deep sleep. And Bob Monroe said, hey, that's great. I'm glad we can lead people into a state of consciousness, but we can't use 4. I need to be conscious while I'm doing this work. So this is where his brilliance showed up. He said, what if I combine these tones and put in another differential at 12? So we got one at 4, and now we're going to add one where the differential is 12. And 12 is where you and I are right now. Our mind is bright, awake, and clear. And if I add to that the 4, what happens is that my body is deeply and profoundly relaxed, even asleep, and my mind is bright, awake, and clear. And that's the state Bob calls Focus 10, but that's the state that he used for all of his explorations of the non-physical world. That's the frequency that he used to go and explore in an out-of-body state. Well, then he started messing with things, and he discovered if you add third intervals or if you expand them or contract them, this was all experiential. He'd grab you, throw you in a bed, slap some headphones on you and go, okay, what are you experiencing now? How about now? How about now? And in the process, he discovered that depending upon the blend of the frequencies, it will take you to different states of expanded awareness. Later, when the technology was available, he would call in a group of a dozen Zen Buddhists, and he said, go to the place where you meet your dead ancestors. And they would all meditate, and he'd do an EEG, and he'd look at them and go, look at this similarity, and then reverse engineer it and create the same brain waves that those monks had when they were talking to their, say, dead relatives. And that expanded the library of frequencies that we can now use to explore the non-physical universe. And so this ties right in with my near-death work, because I really appreciate learning the tools and techniques of the Monroe Institute, how you enter into these states and navigate around them. And yet at the same time, his cosmology is different, considerably different than people who've had near-death experiences. And as we talked about before, there are millions of people who've had near-death experiences. So if I can get the right blend of binaural beats, I can put them in that energetic pathway that millions of people have traversed, and the trip is easy. And so that's what we've done. And we've discovered that there is a frequency for when you leave your physical body for the last time, and the tunnel has a frequency, and the different lights, the white, the black, the clear, they have different frequencies. Where you meet your dead relatives and they have the reunion and the party, that's one. The life review is one. Our area of what we call home, right? Where we go in our life between lives, that has a very special frequency. And it's nicknamed the Park. And it is the one place, this is just so cool. In near-death literature, they describe the area of life between lives, and it got the nickname of the Park. Bob Monroe, in his exploration of out-of-body experiences, discovered the place that is life between lives, and he nicknamed it the Park. It's the same place. You come at it from two separate directions. I just love that you could have such different approaches to exploring the non-physical universe, and you wind up at the same place, and you call it the same name. That just tickles my funny bone.
Well, that's amazing. I think we need to do another podcast and talk more about your experience at the Monroe Institute and the cases you found there. So how can people contact you if they're interested in learning more?
It's easy. Go to my website. That's got all of my classes. It's got my albums. It's got how to contact me, So it is NDE plural.com, which stands for Near Death Experience Meditations.com. So that's the easy way to do it.
You also have a YouTube channel, right?
I do, yes. And the link is on my website, but the YouTube channel is called The Afterlife Files. And you can type that in and my face will show up. Or you can type in, The Afterlife Files, Scott Taylor, and that'll get you there. And I've got, 50 some episodes that are on there, talking to near-death researchers, near-death experiencers, and those who have entered this space. And this last season, we talked with a lot of folks that had some really profound after effects and how that played out in their lives. So, way fun. Come visit me.
You have a final message?
When you touch that space, that luminous space, what it tells you is just love. And I try to take that to heart every day, and I hope you can too, because it is the foundation of this universe, the loving consciousness. and it will set you on your path. It will help you understand who you are and how you exist in this universe and how you can contribute in a meaningful way. So, just love.
Hi, I'm Paul Perry. I just finished re-releasing a book I wrote with Dr. Raymond Moody in 1990. The book is called Reunions. I want to thank A.J. Parr for helping with the technical aspects of doing this book, doing the layout, and he had great advice on how to do a new cover, which he did, and it's beautiful. And all the technical aspects of reissuing a book and how to use Kindle Direct, which is a wonderful service, and communicating with Kindle Direct. But he was also more than that, moral support. He would read through the book, he would fact check, he did proofing for the book, and he made a number of really brilliant suggestions for editorial changes. So I highly recommend working with A.J. Parr, and I'll be doing more books with him in the future. So thank you, A.J. I'll be dealing with you a lot more.
If you're interested in publishing your book in Amazon, contact me, and my publishing team and I will lend you a friendly hand. Send your email to ajparbooks@gmail.com. That's ajparbooks@gmail.com.
This has been the A.J. Parr Spiritual Journalist Podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe.